Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Education. I'm Molette Green. Today, we're discussing the benefits of before and after school programs. What are your kids doing when they're not in school? Are they safe from crime? Are they completing their homework assignments? There are many different models of before and after school programs, and studies show overall they keep school children out of trouble. Now, research also shows constructive out-of-school programs keep children engaged in educational activities, improve their self-confidence, behavior in school, and social skills. And the goal of a successful out-of-school program is to offer children rewarding, challenging, and age-appropriate activities in a safe, structured, and positive environment. And that is especially important for children who are considered at risk or living in urban communities where school dropout rates and crime are usually higher. On this edition of Let's Talk Education, we'll explore the impact of before and after school programs. What makes them successful? Which programs are more effective for children who are considered at risk or have certain special needs? And now let's discuss the importance of before and after school programs with our panel today. Ms. Shanita Burney. She is manager of after school programs for the District of Columbia Public Schools Office of Out of School Time. She's also a founding member of Achievement Preparatory Academy Public Charter School in one of the district's poorest neighborhoods, and that school is thriving. Also with us for this discussion is Mr. Keith Stubbs, Executive Director of the Batter Up Foundation, DCRBI. Batter Up RBI stands for Reviving Baseball in the Inner Cities and is Major League Baseball's initiative to revitalize this game. Mr. Stubbs is also a co-founder and director of baseball operations for Field of Dreams, another after-school and summer enrichment program. These programs have actually helped DC athletes improve their studies and in some cases play baseball in the major leagues. Keith Stubbs and Shanita Burney, we thank you so very much for joining us on Let's Talk Education. Thank you for being here today. First up, Ms. Burney, what is the overall definition of a successful out-of-school program?
So I think there are a variety of things that make an out-of-school time program successful. I think it's important to know within that young people are spending 20% of their lives in school. 80% of that time is spent after school, or I should say outside of the traditional school day. So there's a significant burden, if you will, that we as a community have to really provide these quality programs. I think that most importantly, you've got to have really committed staff that care about young people, want to, work with young people, and want to influence, young people's lives. I think that it is important to be in a safe environment. There's some young people who won't access after-school programs because it's not in a location that's considered safe for them or that they don't feel safe in. So I feel like a variety of connections to other community-based organizations, neighborhoods, churches, all of those things really contribute to a high-quality after-school program.
Give me some numbers. How many kids do we have involved in after-school programs right now?
So in DC public schools, I'm the manager of after-school programs in the Office of Out-of-School Time. We are serving currently 16,000 young people in the after-school programs. And so those folks are participating only in after school, before school and after school. So that's not even considering those folks that are participating in past years in summer school or that have participated in past years in our Saturday Scholars program. So we're making a significant dent in our student population, and our numbers continue to increase over the years. So at this time last year, we probably had a couple thousand or several thousand less students that we were serving. So we feel as if we're making some really, really positive gains in not only the quality of our programs, but how we're messaging out to all of our key stakeholders, including our parents and our young people, about what we have to offer. And young people are saying this is something that we are interested in, because we know anyone who does after-school programs knows that young people vote with their feet. And this is not compulsory education. Young people they have a choice of whether they want to come to these programs. Parents have a choice. And so if they're coming, then that is an indicator of quality of an after-school program.
Absolutely, because as we talked before, and before we get to Keith and bring him in on this discussion, this is not babysitting.
It's not.
Don't make that mistake and think this has evolved over the years.
It absolutely has, and that is absolutely one of the things that makes everyone in my office and all of our after-school coordinators cringe. We hate the term, and anyone that's in a community-based organization hates to be considered as babysitters. Sure. This field has evolved significantly. In the Office of Out of School Time, we have even rebranded what was traditionally called aftercare. And it had a connotation of babysitting,
yes,
of something that was, okay, I'm just waiting until my mom comes and picks me up. It's a holding space, and that's not the case. We have a model where we have a full-time coordinator in almost 102 DC public schools. This person is dedicated to really making sure there's an intentional linkage between the school day and the after school. There's academics, enrichment, and wellness. And so young people are being able to benefit from a much more robust after school program.
Yeah. And Keith, let me bring you in here and talk about the Batter Up Foundation and what you do to try to keep children engaged and also to work on the academics as well as lure them in with sports. You've seen the difference that it can make.
Well, absolutely. We actually have a pretty unique model, if you will. We have an academic enrichment program portion or component. We have a mentoring component. We have a fitness exercise component, and my favorite, baseball. The unique thing about it is that we tell our kids, all the participants, that you have to be a part of the mentoring program, the academic enrichment, to participate in the baseball.
Now, is this boys and girls?
Boys and girls,
okay,
particularly when you're looking at the 12 and under age,
yes,
when the boys and girls still can play together,
good,
but you still have to have a unique young lady. But our numbers are really higher in the academic area, the mentoring portion of our program, than the baseball.
Really?
Which is very surprising. Very surprising.
Because that is the whole key of it. Parents want their kids to be engaged and get that extra academics
Absolutely.
in there whenever you can. And in the inner cities, of course, that's so very important when children face so many other different challenges, right?
Yes. Also, I'd like to also say the success of our program is because we've been able to hire some very, very talented staff members because they do a great job. I use the terminology, they have that gift, that fire, if you will, that kids kind of gravitate toward. Most of our kids really like structure. They like to know that you're organized, you're prepared, and that you have their best interest at heart, and they will flock to you without having to do a whole lot of outreach and recruitment.
They want the staff to care.
Absolutely.
And that's a very important component of making a successful after-school program or out-of-school program.
Absolutely.
You got to have that staff that is well-trained. Talk about the preparation on the staff side of it.
Yeah, and I agree with Keith. I mean, I call it the it factor.
Yeah.
It's and even when you're working with those older young people, I always say, it's got to be someone who really has that the it factor to compel those young people to participate in their programs. We in DC Public Schools, with our, we have a model where we recruit from our schools, teachers and our paraprofessionals that are working in that school with them throughout the day. They know the young people. They're able to really make an intentional link between the school day and the after school because they're the ones delivering the instruction. And so that is really key. We're also working with DC Public Schools to ensure that we're recruiting and targeting those teachers who are the highest performing in their classrooms and are showing, academic gains in the classroom. We want those teachers to come in the after school and do exactly what they're doing during the school day, with a twist, of course. It needs to, be academically engaging for young people, and young people want to see it switched up a little bit after school. And so we're recruiting those folks. We're, our after-school coordinators are really key in managing those staff at the site level. So we're working to train our after-school coordinators in a variety of strategies to really make sure that they're supporting teachers in the way that they should.
And when the teachers in this program know the students, they can tap into where that child is a little weaker and needs a little extra help.
Absolutely.
And where their strengths are and highlight and support that, right, Keith?
Absolutely. Also, to the credit of DC Public Schools,
Yeah.
there's a really good vetting application process, a screening process, which I think will hold the community-based organizations accountable for making sure that people are qualified. The background checks and the clearances are all in place. When you have a really good system like that, you tend to kind of weed out the people that I'd say may not have been the best people. So that process, I think, has really helped us as a community-based organization to make sure that we really had good people in place to meet the needs of the kids.
So how does it work when you want to go to a specific school? You contact Ms. Burney's office and you go from there. Tell me how that kind of works.
Well, actually, there's
because I know there are people out there who say, I got a good program here, and I want to bring it to these students. So tell me about that. It's a little bit
more to it than that now. There's actually a vetting application that you have to acquire. Then you have to fill the application out thoroughly. Then it goes through the vetting application process. And once they do all the background and do all the checks and all the clearances are all in place, then you get a compliance letter. And when you do the application, you have to talk about how the program looks, how it works, what schools you're going to be in, what ages you're going to target. Then you have to also show an example model of what you're trying to accomplish or what you're working on.
Ms. Burney, you're looking through these applications and these programs with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, I mean, this vetting process really is indicative of the partnership that DCPS after-school programs and the Office of Out-of-School Time has with outstanding community-based organizations such as RBI.
Yeah.
We do this work hand in hand, side by side with community-based organizations. They have been in these communities for years and have been doing outstanding work. And this is a way and a strategy for us to ensure that not only do we have the highest quality programs in our schools, that we've done the appropriate vetting to ensure that they are folks that should be working with young people, but as well we're making sure that we're able to spread CBOs equitably across, high quality CBOs equitably across the city. Because there have been occasions where you have pockets of the city that don't have access to high quality community-based organizations. And we consider this as a way to support some of those areas that really have not have been underserved, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go back to the academics component of all of this and break that down a little bit more about how that works in terms of their school day has ended and you're in these after school programs. And you're going to get enrichment, you're going to work on your homework. How does it work?
So one of the things that happens is, most importantly in the after-school program, this year we have started to serve a supper meal. So young people are getting some nourishment to really support the transition from the school day to the after-school. Following this, they are able to transition into an academic power hour. So after school is a 3-hour block of time, and we're spending an hour of that on academic power hour. And so not only do we have teachers from the school day that are that have classes of young people that they're instructing, but there are also community-based organizations that are also doing an academic power hour. Our idea is that we will have a half hour of homework because parents
homework done.
Parents don't want their students coming home and homework is not done at 7 o'clock at night. So a half hour is spent on homework, and sometimes more if that's needed. But there is a half hour spent on enrichment. So we do want to focus on reading and math and really building skills. So we're using data from DC BAS, the interim assessments that take place throughout the year, to determine where students are. So we can see specifically what are the specific areas in reading and math that young people do need to practice a little more. So we're using that data. Teachers are using that. After-school coordinators are using it. And that is what's driving what's taking place in the academic power hour. And
Keith, you say that that's one of your strongest areas. Talk about what you've seen tangibly in a young person's life in your program.
Well, I think the best way to probably respond to that is thinking about the parents, their reactions to what their kids are doing and the progress that they're making. I've had parents that come up to us and say, our kids are they're better at home. They're excited about learning. They understand the importance of academics. For example, he likes to read a little bit more. You know, he's coming home, he's offering homework or showing me that he's done his homework. Unlike before, it was like, okay, or do you have any homework? Do I have to check with your teachers? So the parents feel like, you know, what we're doing is really helping them to empower the kids and to also motivate and encourage them to do what they're supposed to be doing anyway, which is developing a love for learning.
That's what we want.
Absolutely.
Talk about these kids. Who are they? What's the typical child that you see coming into your after-school program? And tell me what the changes you've seen. You talked about the academic side, but I know that there is a tangible difference in their behavior from these programs, right?
Yeah, we actually work with primarily in Ward 7 and Ward 8. I'll say it's a population where the kids I don't like to use the word underserved, but
they have more challenges
more
in those
challenges,
sections.
absolutely.
It's two of the poorest neighborhoods in the community. That is the truth.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean the kids aren't as smart. They just have more challenges before them. So
well,
who are these kids? Because they're amazing, aren't they?
Absolutely. Kids who have dreams, desires, just like all of us here. It's just a matter of having role models, or my definition of a role model is someone who's willing to push you to higher heights, to ensure that they are what I call able to live the American dream, have a piece of the pie, just by making sure that you are accountable for what's responsible off the field, talking about baseball, as well as on the field.
And you know, when you offer the baseball option, most people think kids in the inner city only care about baseball and maybe football, but I mean basketball and football. But baseball, how do they take to that at first?
Excuse me. It's not easy. Baseball's not an easy sell. It's not a very popular sport. And it's not because kids don't like baseball. I said if you look at the seasons, unfortunately, baseball comes at the very end of the year.
Yeah.
So after the parents and the kids, they have football, which is the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
The middle of school year, after Christmas, you have basketball. And then at the very end, I am so tired, administrators, teachers, parents, and kids, here comes baseball. Yeah. Unfortunately, we've got to make the best of that situation. But I'll say there's a lot more going on than people would ever imagine. This year, our RBI regional team, we have two regional teams, which is an all-star team that represents DC. We actually finished #1 in the country.
Wow.
I guess you say nationally or internationally, we lost to the Dominican Republic 4-1. We had them on the ropes for like 4 or 5 innings.
But that's really good.
That's very good. And that was our 15 and under, or 13, 14, 15-year-olds. But we've also had 12 boys, young men that have signed pro contracts, one of which is in the major leagues right now, Emmanuel Burris, who came to our program.
Young men from D.C.
Washington, D.C.
who have gone on to the majors.
Absolutely. Gerard Hall, who's in the Kansas City Royals organization. And they were also a part of the after-school program. I mean, the academic portion.
Component of it, yes.
Exactly, as well as the baseball. But more importantly, we've had some direct involvement in the college placement process.
That's what parents want to know.
Got about 200 to 250 kids that we've helped with college placement and scholarship opportunities. And I'd like to brag about that number more so than the professional numbers.
This is your platform.
This,
You can do it right here. Yeah. And it's not all about sports. I mean, obviously we have an example of the Batter Up Foundation, RBI, but these after-school, out-of-school time programs involve much more than the sports component.
For sure, and I mean, that's one of the things that I love about RBI, and that is, one, it's about providing access and opportunity to young people that maybe they wouldn't have been provided if this organization had not come in. I mean, young people from communities where they're not, playing or being exposed to baseball or soccer,
right.
They are engaging in these activities. We do believe that academics, enrichment, and wellness, a combination of those three, is really critical to a student's overall achievement and success. I work in an academic institution, but we as an institution believe that we have to develop young people's social socially and emotionally. And that's one of the benefits of after-school programs. There was a Harvard study done on within the DC PS Office of Out-of-School Time, and we were able to see over the school year 2008-2009 and then 2009-2010 that there were some slight gains for young people who were participating in after-school in not only their DC CAS, but behavior and attendance in school. So their level of engagement with school, with those caring adults, with other community-based organizations is really contributing to a holistic picture of what a healthy young person is and should be.
And I just want to stress how important it is to reach these young people at the critical ages, because we are losing our boys in great numbers.
Yes.
At the middle school level, high school level, they're not even entering college.
Yes.
And we got to get them in. We
Yes.
got to reel them in, and so that is very important. The goal of that is very important.
It is important. I mean, you know, one of the things that we do is try to, you know, really recruit high-performing after-school coordinators that really show a variety of you know, individuals that can connect with males, with you know, our Hispanic you know, boys and girls, you know, our young ladies. So you'll see across the board those individuals who are really skilled and talented in identifying you know, who should be participating in after-school programs, and then how to recruit and ultimately retain them in the programs. But you know, we cast our net far and wide. You know, we serve every single ward in the city, and you know, although we serve every single ward, you know, we are in the process of becoming even more intentional about who it is we serve. You're right; those young people who are entering 9th grade, if they are not in summer school programs, high-quality summer learning programs, or after school, you're already entering, you know, 9th grade, and the odds are stacked against you for graduating from high school or for getting into college. So, you know, focusing on that transition period is a focus of, you know, our school and our office in terms of the direction that we're headed in. So that's the type of thinking that we have to do to really address those issues that you just mentioned.
Well, when you talk about keeping kids in longer and bringing on staff and training them and feeding them nutritional meals, I'm thinking about the money and where is it coming from. And we're in tight economic times. Things are getting a little better, but they're still tough. So is that really a big challenge right now for your organization and for keeping the program working and churning overall? Keith, you first.
Absolutely. Without resources, you certainly can't have the necessary what I call boots on the ground.
Right.
Because the economy is slow, we can certainly feel the impact.
Yeah.
And but I'm very hopeful. I'm a very optimistic person that because we have such a worthy cause or movement that we've created, that people will come out and find ways to support us.
And Ms. Burney, before we run out of time, I want to ask, parents out there are thinking, oh, hey, I want to bring a great program to my school or add to it. What do they need to do?
So, you know, absolutely visit the DCPS website. You know, you can, you know, type in a search engine DCPS to find the website, or it's dcps.dc.gov, or you can and click on Beyond the Classroom, and you can see after school programs, summer school, before school. You can also just call our office directly, 202-442-5002, or just call the DCPS main number and they can reach any of us. We'd love, love, love to talk to anyone who's interested in learning more about our programs, and we can point them in the right direction to find out more.
In terms of strengthening the programs, I'm sure you need volunteers and people are willing to serve in that way. What do they need to do? Keith?
Well, they can simply just go to our website. We have contact information there, which is www.dcrbi.org.
Good.
And we'll make sure somebody will respond rapidly.
You're welcoming
volunteers. We would gladly take them. We need mentors for young boys, as you mentioned, our older teens. We have pre-K classrooms, so we would take toys, books, absolutely, school supplies, but also folks that just want to come out and give of their time.
Oh, it's been a great discussion. Oh, and thank you for enlightening us on this very important topic. Wonderful discussion on the importance of before and after school programs. going on right here in the Washington, D.C. area. We want to certainly thank Ms. Shanita Burney, manager of the after-school programs for the D.C. Public Schools out of school time, school office. She's also a founding member of the Achievement Preparatory Academy Public Charter School in one of the district's poorest sections of the community. And of course, Keith Stubbs with Batter Up Foundation, DCRBI. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we got to have you come back and give us an update at some point as these programs continue to evolve. Thank you very much. I'm Molette Green. It's been a pleasure serving as your host on this edition of Let's Talk Education. Goodbye.